everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Friday, October 4, 2024, a little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We'll be having a reverse aging health call tonight and all the rest, kind of a continuation from Wednesdays, a little after 9:15 p.m. Eastern tonight. There is this great, deep, eternal love flowing in our lives. Okay? Without this, we remain dumb and numb to our highest spiritual path and life purpose. We feel lost, empty, and lonely without it. We cannot imagine that there is a gold mine of greatness buried inside. All it takes is a little digging into our emotional being. Underneath the fears, the doubts, and the worries, with a small shovel of curiosity, we can find an amazing love at the core. This is the real gold. When we're willing to stop playing with the fool's gold in our lives, the best things in this life begin manifesting. What is real gold is that which will never change. Once we embrace the comprehension that we, every one of us that are in these bodies, the pure consciousness, the God, the soul, the spirit, however you want to label it, never, ever changes. Now we look outside of us like these bodies change every microsecond. And everything around is changing all the time. Why is that? The question is posed. How come that is? Why is it that way? So we all can experience from second to second, everything is changing. Now the gods that we are never change because we're divine perfection, pure consciousness. Now obviously we do elevate ourselves to a higher and higher and higher level of divine perfection, but we don't change. So everything that we look at, everything that we interact with on this planet is a creation. And it is designed to change on a continual basis so that we can experience constantly. It doesn't have to be a big experience, but little experiences all the time. You might look at a tree 20 years later, you go, that tree has changed. Well, it's gotten bigger. Leaves have gotten more, and it's aged. But it's still the tree. It's the same in fall, in the seasons in certain parts of this planet. Everything changes, right? It's like the seasons. They all change from one to the other. And change is constant. Just like this planet, it is constantly changing, developing, advancing, period. So the key is for us to comprehend this fully so that we can get to a point and comprehend that we are not these bodies. We are not anything outside of us. We are the pure consciousness of all that there is, ever has been, ever will be, ever beyond, and forever. Most of us, however, are still stuck in the material physical. So, in the material physical, we know that we suffer. Most of us spend most of our thought process in yesterday and tomorrow. We do not spend our thought process, because there's no thought process, right, in the now. That's all negated. It doesn't exist. And the now is the only way. There's been a lot of attempts throughout the ages to see if there's another way of mastering the mind and mastering our thoughts. There isn't. It is only achieved, so to speak, in deep stillness and silence. It's the only way that we can master our mind and thoughts. It's like Osho quotes, total liberation is not very far away, it's just hidden behind you. Every one of us, sooner or later, we begin asking ourselves questions. And the catalyst could be anything. Or you could just be sitting, doing nothing, and just relaxing. And there's these thoughts that you have, and you send out, and you say, what am I doing here? Why am I here? You know, it's almost like when you were a kid, you would ask similar questions, right? You'd ask the adults all these different questions because of your curiosity, because you wanted to know. Not much different. You know, all these years later in these bodies, we start to ask ourselves questions, rightfully so. You know, what's this all for? And it doesn't have to be in a moment where you're frustrated or exasperated. It's just that, you know, you're curious. You got that curious, childlike curiosity, and you're just asking, what the heck, what's the point of all of this? We come into these bodies, we have no memories, we have amnesia of past lives, and so we start from scratch every time, so to speak, and then we live a life, and then we leave the body. You know, anywhere from 60 to 80 years, give or take, and then we leave the body, and what do? Well, we haven't figured out who and what we are while we are in that life. We haven't embraced the spirituality of our existence, and we have immersed ourselves in a material physical world. And how long do we do that? That's another question. How long do we do that? What, we just keep incarnating with just amnesia, and we just, you know, we have these lives and we experience, and then we leave the body and we don't know who and what we are, and then, you know, we enter the matrix, right? We're in the matrix, and the matrix dictates that you're supposed to follow that light. That's what you do. You follow the light. You, the God, follows that light, right? And then the story goes that you, in the body that you inhabited, right, the image of the body that you inhabited here on earth, that's how you appear, you know, even though you left that life in that body. It was over. So then you're in the matrix, and this is all holographically generated, and someone, some being, appears in physical form of somebody that you may have known in past lives or the most recent, and then they allegedly help you over to the other side. Okay? Now, when you go over to the other side, because you're apprehensive and you really don't know who and what you are, and you're kind of confused, right? So this being helps you. It could be anybody. And you feel at ease, and then you go across, and then you go to places, and you run across all of your, it could be people that have left the body, but still carrying their image of how they looked on this planet at that time. And usually they're hugging you and laughing, and, you know, and you've got all your pets from all lifetimes there, and they're all greeting you, and you're just full of just excitement, enthusiasm, and joy, and bliss, and you're just totally consumed with it. And then while you're over there on the other side, you can live out a lot of things that you wanted to have happen here on this planet in physical material form. You know, I mean, a lot of things. Crazy stuff, though, see? It's like my sister always wanted to have breast augmentation, okay? And so she goes over to the other side, and she has breast augmentation. She wanted to swim with the dolphins. So she gets on a ship, a sail ship, over on the other side, and she swims with the dolphins. Very interesting. And then, so we do those things that we, you know, we eat as much as we want, but it's all crazy because it's the matrix. It's not real. It isn't real. But yet us gods, again, are seduced into believing it's real because we don't know who and what we are. So why wouldn't we believe it's real? We would. Now, the flip side of that is you have a long enough time in the body on this material physical plane, your spirituality is expanding. You begin to discover who and what you are in that body. You realize you're not the body. The body is temporary, and everything else is temporary in this physical material world. So you then discover that you begin to master your thoughts and your ego mind, not all at once, but you're on the track of doing it. You're aware. You realize that you are the light. No one else is. You're the light. There isn't any light, right, that you're supposed to follow or go into. It's all a trick for us gods. It's a trick. And we're seduced into it. And we do it every single time. And the only reason we do is because we don't know who and what we are. We didn't have enough time in the body. And then one might say, well, cripe, we've had thousands of lifetimes. How long does it take for us to get it? Who knows? You don't know. And it's a cycle. And so we go through this cycle over and over and over and over again until you begin to wake up on your own. It could be anything that's the catalyst for it. And you start getting curious like you did when you were a child. Really curious. And so you start delving within you and you discover the good parts, the bad parts, and in between parts. You learn how to embrace them and forgive yourself across the board about everything. Genuinely. You learn to operate mostly from the heart-mind. Because it's blissful. It's peaceful. You have no mind chatter. You have no fear, stress, any of that. It's gone. It exists in yesterday and tomorrow, where we suffer. So we start getting that. We start embracing it. And slowly but surely, we realize that we are the masters and commanders of our lives. It's not, it's not hodgepodged, this direction, that direction. It's due to what we want. Now, most of us are tricked into this matrix. I kind of call it a Halloween matrix because it's spooky and it's kind of fun in some areas, and other areas is kind of dark and murky and on and on. But it's all an illusion. So one might say, well, what the heck are we doing here? Why would we want to be in this as gods? Why would we want to incessantly reincarnate over and over and over again without any access to our database, our knowledge, our grand whole of information? Why would we do that? Well, something happens, okay? And it's called, how do you put it, messing with us, right? So there are beings sprinkled throughout the universes who set up these matrices. And this is how we end up in this repetitive cycle. Because we should have retention of memory of every life. So as you go through different reincarnations, right, or incarnations, you know, see, you know that past life, you know what you did in that past life, and so you decide whether or not you want another life. But this way, when we are electronically, our memories are wiped, coming and going in this whole process. This is why we have amnesia. See? Now imagine that didn't happen, and from the essence of creation, and you're God, and we create these bodies, and we enter these bodies to experience, okay? We say thousands of lifetimes, okay? But each lifetime, we know. We know when we leave it. We know what we did and experienced. So we determine from that, do any of us want to reincarnate into another body and have another life? See, it's a big difference, isn't it? Right? Do we want to do that? Based upon that life that has just exhausted and there's no more. It would be a big difference, wouldn't it? But these beings, and there's no real agenda, by the way. They don't have an agenda or a purpose or a reason why they do this. They just do it. They can't have that because they need us to power their machinery. That's why the first Matrix movie, and of course it's Hollywoodized and everything, but the Wachowski brothers did a good job kind of sublimely introducing a world where the inhabitants of the planet lived in their minds, which is the ego mind, and carried on their work and their careers and going to restaurants and everything, totally oblivious that it was all being done in their minds. And their bodies were powering the machinery and equipment. See? So doesn't it make sense that in order for these beings to operate and to keep operating, they need the greatest power source and all that there is, ever has been, ever will be, ever beyond, forever, which is the gods that we are, the souls, infinite. Okay? So they use that to power everything. That's a fact. This is why we're in this incessant cycle over and over and over again with no memory. Makes sense, right? So this way we don't find out. See, we don't know. We just keep doing this over and over again. But some of us are starting to question, rightfully so. That's kind of crazy that we don't remember our past lives, isn't it? I know we all think about it on occasion. And it's good, though, because more and more people are saying, I wonder what it would be like had I known, the life before this one. You don't need to know 50 lifetimes all at once. But to start referencing in, the past life as a reference, okay? Now, the way you do this is that you continually increase your vibrational frequency. You continually exist through the heart mind and not the ego mind. You continually meditate and practice meditation like we do every day on these calls, where you relax it. You get into a comfortable position. You don't care to have any outside interference, noises or anything, banging or any of that stuff. So if that is happening, you put earplugs in and put an eye mask on. You get yourself in a still as a statue position. You relax into the body, right? And you focus on your breath rising and falling. Now this isn't, some of us know this pretty much, that, and don't you feel that there's something that doesn't feel right, does it? Okay. Each lifetime that we experience, we have amnesia. And we have amnesia going, see, so when we leave the body, we are zapped. And when we come into the body, we're zapped. So, pretty much it wipes our memories. And this is why we're in this cycle. Now, you begin to connect the dots, so to speak, or snap the puzzle pieces into place of the big picture. And we are creating things that will allow us to leave that prison, to leave it for good, to disband it, so it no longer happens. Because this, see, how long has this gone on with us? Right? Maybe billions of years, not more. But this cycle has just continued. So we incarnate into a body and we're on this planet. We don't have a clue of our past life as a guide. You know what I mean? Reference material. So we can look at things objectively, non-obtrusively, or self-doubt, ridicule, and being unkind to ourselves, right? And so we look at that to assist us in what? In this life. You know? And so it's an aid, it's a resource library, so to speak, that we draw on. Unfortunately, the way things are on this planet and how the human psyche has been created, which is a society, we're in this kind of like a circle jerk. And just don't know how to get off of it. And we don't have a lot of time. That's a big factor. We don't have a lot of time to develop ourselves in awareness. 80, 90 years, 100 years is not. It's like a drop in the bucket. So, and we're distracted, right? We get distracted. We get all the wrong programming, generation after generation. This is why everything is repeated at different segments of existence on this planet. That's why it's repeated. Okay? Because we keep passing down all the wrong stuff to the next and the next and the next and the next. And you can see, you can actually, as you watch this, it validates it. Why we seem to be on this planet in conflict. Why we seem to be in confusion. Why we seem to be contracted, befuddled, just not being able to put things together. And so as generation after generation is programmed, we start seeing a clearer picture as we become more aware and observing that, and it's good because we learn from that, and we start saying with ourselves, I don't care to to be in that anymore. Right? And this is a firm commitment that you make in your heart-mind. It's not, oh, I'm going to get even or anything like that. It's for deep eternal love because I'm not going to play this game anymore. I'm going to create my own playground. And our vibrational frequencies, we plug in and comprehend what those are about. You know, depending on where we put ourselves and the emotionality with this body, we begin to increase our vibrational frequencies or lower them. War, conflict, hatred, anger, revenge, manipulation is all the great master ego mind. Right? That's why all that happens. Because we are not in our spiritual realm. We are not embracing the gods that we are. And we haven't. Period. But I believe that this time, in this lifetime that we're all experiencing, that many of us will. It's not about winning, that's all ego mind. Right? It's not about losing, that's all ego mind. It's about experiencing the true bliss, deep eternal love, joy, tranquility, benevolence, and peace that we're made of. That the true gods that we are made of. That we comprehend that we are immortal beings. That we don't die. And we go on and on and on and on and on. And we experience, we create, and we experience, and we create, and we experience, and it's never ending. It's cool. Right? See, on this planet we're taught, okay, you do a job, and let's say you do a job, you're fortunate enough, or not fortunate enough, where you, what? You retire. And then what do? Usually, you do some things here and there, and then you become sedentary, which means that you might as well be dead. And then you leave the body. This is all because of the programming that we have been bathed in, saturated in, permeated in forever. Now there's a lot of us coming out of that and saying, I don't really care to do that anymore. I'm not really interested in it. I'm deeply grateful that I've been able to experience so many things just in this lifetime, and I'm sure many others. But it just doesn't interest me anymore. You ever done that? You ever been interested in something and you give it your all? And it's enjoyable and it's bumpy and it's challenging. But then you get to a point where you say, and it's just a feeling in your heart mind that comes bubbling up, and you say to yourself, I'm not interested in doing this anymore. I want to do this over here. You start manifesting a different direction. Now, that's your decision because that's what you have come to see. And you shift it. And you say, I want to go within and I want to discover exactly who and what I am. I mean, I know I'm a God. I know that I am a drop of pure essence of the One, right? I know that I'm the universe and universe is me because we're all part of everything. There's never been any separation ever, nor will there be ever. And one might say, wait a minute, I'm looking at Stan over there. Now, we are not together. See how our eyes and how things have been set up in this matrix? You go, no, that's not possible. Stan's over there, I'm over here. And you say we're one. Yeah. Everything is energy. It takes on different forms, right? It takes on different intensities and directions, but it's still energy. That's why when you as energy focus on another space, which is energy, you create particles. Right? And quantum comprehension, you look at a little teeny quantum particle that has its own consciousness. Which has, been discovered over and over again. And that we're all one, but we appear to be separate so that we can experience on different planes. It's what we do. So doesn't it make sense that we create everything? And when that's vibrating through your heart mind, it makes a lot of sense. And it could be a fleeting thought that you send out, that you don't, you know what I mean? It's just a fleeting thought, real quick, and you don't put any attention on it or anything, but you send this thought out. And the next thing you know, there it is manifested. And at times you will say, that's wild. I was just thinking about that briefly, and then here it is. Oh, but what have we been trained to believe? Well, that's just a coincidence. And a coincidence shouldn't even exist in our vocabulary, because all it means is that it's a word we use to explain away things we don't comprehend. That's all it is. Then we start getting a little bit more in tune with the gods that we are within these bodies. And as we watch and observe things, we start to look at them from a different perspective. Not a judgment, because remember, we're watching or observing. We're not judging ourselves or anything else. And then, because you will experience this, at some point where you realize that you, the God that you are, is abundance, is prosperity, is long life, immortality, longevity. It's all of those things. Long time ago, our ancestors knew this. Okay? Well, then one would say, well, then we've kind of gone backwards. In a way, yes, we have. Through trickery, kind of like sleight of hand. But at one time, we were connected with the gods within us. Deeply so. 24/7. We also knew that, like, you did not have disease. The body didn't. Your teeth didn't fall out. Your body didn't come decrepit. What happened was that you stayed youthful for as long as you chose to be in that body. Now, some of us back then would stay 300 years, 1,500 years, 3,000 years. And then we would just, at some point, you say, okay, I'm done with this body. It's time for me to leave. Knowing that everything in the material physical world is temporary. The only thing that isn't temporary is you, who you really are. And when you do this, your presence, it vibrates with such a blissful frequency, which emanates from the God that you are in the body. And you stay there because it's so wonderful. We're not talking about addiction. It's you feel it from who and what you are. And then one might say, well, what the heck happened? How did we go from there to here? How did we get to the point where we're at today? Conflict, hatred, manipulation, dishonesty, greed, right? The want for more power, more control, more money. Well, let me put it this way. The ego mind has become, for a very long time, the grand master of this civilization. That's it. In a nutshell. without getting into intricacies. This is, the majority of the population of this planet lives in yesterday and tomorrow. I mean, straightly and squarely on yesterday and tomorrow. And this is why there's so much suffering on the planet, because the majority of the population is concerned and worried about 2 hours from now instead of being in the now, or even 2 days from now or a month from now. We're seduced into yesterday and tomorrow by the ego mind, and we don't know who and what we are. So when you put that package together, this is exactly what you see as an observer happening on the planet, generation after generation, century after century, millennium after millennium, and so on. Wars and conflicts, the propensity for control and ruling and commanding and ruling over others and being in charge and powerful and being exonerated and worshipped and adored. This is all ego mind. And this planet, the grip on this planet has been very, very strong for a very, very, very long time of the Grand Master of the ego mind of this civilization, this species. Call it mankind, humanity, whatever label you want to put on it. So this is why we decide, every one of us, sooner or later, I'm going within. I am going to go within, and once and for all, I'm going to meet the God that I am. And I'm not doing it with fear, worry, stress, anxiety. Because it's an unknown, remember. And in the unknown, that's where all the possibilities are. But we make that choice. No one's making it for us. Ever will make it for us. We make that choice for ourselves. Nobody else. That's why you'll hear me say it's all about you. Period. So in the quiet time of this meditation, focus in the now on the God that you are within that body. It's all you do. So you're relaxed into your body, you're stationed in a comfortable position, you're focused on the breath rising and falling, and the God that you are, truly so, who and what you really are in that body. Join me in meditation, and I'll return to close this out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose, and an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still, relaxed into the body. Focus on the breath rising and falling. Be as flamboyant, carefree, and totally outrageous as you can bear it. Be wild with all your being, sending your freeing energy far out into this world. Toss your worries, inhibitions, and fears right out the window. True liberation is allowing for endless freedom. Let's have a really fun and glorious heart-opening day. Your heart is the most magical freedom festival of them all, and it is noticeable by everyone. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night, the following morning. We'll return here tonight, a little after 9:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our reverse aging health call and all the rest. And Saturday, October 5, 2024, a little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest, purest of the purest, eternal gratitude. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Open your heart and let the magic flow in. No matter what's going on out there or in here.